Erica Lorraine Spencer here. It is January 21st, 2021. It's Thursday. It is my objective. It's my goal. It is my intention to reveal what is stalking with light. And that is what my documentation with regard to what is a criminal system in operation by a public entity. So specifically, the state of California is engaged in a criminal monitoring system. It is referred to as group stalking and monitoring. It is a matter of federal law in violation of current existing federal legislation, that is 18 U.S.C. section 42A. It is also that which is an unprecedented level of criminal activity by a government in concert with the people of the state of California, which has never been addressed in its totality, acknowledging and legally addressing, for purposes of federal prosecution, every criminal tactic, every criminal method employed by a public entity engaged in operating a criminal monitoring system via communication devices in concert with the people of that state, subjecting that targeted individual subject to such monitoring to ceaseless monitoring, that is corporate invasion of privacy, that is ceaseless violation, sexual violation of the person, absolutely no privacy whatsoever at any place, at any time. It is that which is at an unprecedented level, as I've stated, in operation by a government. This has never been addressed by federal legislation whatsoever, and this is why I advocate, and I have actually written and designed that which is intended to prosecute a public entity that's engaged in creating audible activity right now, as that public entity is monitoring even what I document and publish on my podcast. That is the state flying directly over as I sit on the bench between the Senior Center and the Ontario Ovitt Family Community Library and 280 Lemon Apartments. That is called amplified audible activity, as the state is engaged in what is ongoing stalking, and that is the state acting directly, stalking by planes, helicopters, police, fire, and ambulance. Third-party group stalkers in the same parking lot that is incorporating the City Hall, the Senior Center, and the 280 Lemon Apartments are patrolling, sitting in their vehicles in this parking lot, which is immediately to my right. The state is flashing light onto the surfaces around me. The state is turning on the street lamps and turning on additional light in addition to those street lamps, while third-party group stalkers are not only patrolling in their vehicles, aiming their headlights, remaining in relevant position, and also on foot pedestrians engaging in the same exact pattern of conduct as they engage in crossing a path with real-time knowledge of activity on the communication device and or any abrupt physical movement of my person. That is a pattern of conduct. This is federal group stalking and monitoring, and this is real-time documentation. It is also that which is intended to be and fully designed to be not only created as federal policy for purposes of prosecuting a public entity such as the state of California. It is that which will be enforced against the state of California, and that is what I have designed called systematic infliction of inhumane suffering, S.I.I.S. federal legislation, and it is designed to address every criminal tactic of a public entity engaged in what is a criminal monitoring system. And this is the entity itself, and understand where the state of California is monitoring with the people in concert with the people of the state of California. The people of the state of California are in the shoes of the government. So when I am referring to the entity, I am referring to the people of the state of California who are the vicarious actors. All right. This is the entity, the state of California, that is operating this monitoring system, acting vicariously through the people of that state. And they are in the shoes of the government. They are the vicarious actor. They are the ones that I am documenting. And this is the totality of that entity that is monitoring the state acting directly in the manner that the state just demonstrated, and the state acting vicariously. And that is through the very people that incorporate the state. And by the way, that is indiscriminate. That is monitoring that is occurring at all times and at all places. This is how the system is designed for systematic monitoring. And this is at in no way whatsoever obstructed or hindered. Ceilings, doors, walls, they are no obstruction whatsoever to a criminal monitoring system. And my documentation is revealing how the public entity engages in what is that monitoring system. And how you monitor is ceaseless engagement in and concerted engagement in three elements that are criminal. They're criminal elements. They are engaged in by the state of California, by the state that is acting directly, operating this criminal system with the motive to monitor. And so that is the state acting directly, again, sounding sirens. That is another example of what is amplified audible activity as the public entity is monitoring the documentation. So this is a real-time example of the very elements of criminal monitoring. The state sounding its sirens moments before that, flashing light activity as they are driving west on B Street to my right. That's the state flying over. That's the state driving by. That's the state amplifying sirens. That's the state amplifying plane engines. This is the state acting directly. Third-party group stalkers, the people of the state of California, maintain group presence. The state itself directly maintains group presence. That is group stalking. That is maintaining group presence with the criminal purpose of monitoring via communication devices. And the people of the state of California, the state directly that is monitoring, operating through the people of the state of California, is engaged in ceaseless operation of that criminal system. And again, it is in violation of existing federal law, 18 U.S.C. Section 42A. It is also that which needs to be addressed under what, again, I advocate and what I have designed, which is I.I.S, federal legislation, designed to address every criminal tactic and understand this is not only criminal monitoring of an unprecedented level of threatening criminal activity by a government, targeting an American citizen in violation of their constitutional and human rights. It is also that which is it's a satanic system. This is demonic activity, and this is that which is demonic activity made manifest. And when you are addressing that which is of the demonic, and this is something which is in no way impervious to federal legislation. The case against the state of California is based on objective evidence, which is tangible, that which you can see with your eyes, that you can hear with your own ears, and that which is also that of that which is a satanic system, and that's what it is rooted in. And this is what the state of California is practicing as a people, as a group. And this is in operation every single place that you go. Every single county I've been in, San Bernardino County, Los Angeles County, Orange County, are the specific counties where I have engaged in systematic documentation of it. But the system is such that wherever the target individual goes, this criminal system is in operation. And my documentation is representing that which the entirety of the state of California is engaged in. And with regard to the that which is of the demonic, that is relevant for purposes of not only prosecution but prescription, and that's also what I have echoed in my documentation. This is speaking to punishment. This is speaking to disincentivizing a public entity, and that is acting through the people of the state of California from engaging in such conduct, which is that of a psychopath. And that is the exact assessment that would be ascribed to any individual engaging in such level of stalking, in such level of hovering, obsessive, and paranoid level of following and for the purpose of monitoring, and doing it as a group, which is an unheard of method of stalking. And the reason why they are stalking, the state is stalking in this manner, is because it is monitoring, and it is inherently relying upon the people of the state of California in order to monitor 24/7. Let me rephrase that, 25/8, okay? And this is the state that is engaging in stalking both directly and vicariously, because as a group, the entity acting directly and vicariously is monitoring via communication devices. That is the system of federal group stalking and monitoring. My documentation is focused on the first element of criminal monitoring. So let me break down the elements, and then I'm going to go into what I am honing in on, which is the unprecedented level of stalking, speaking to and revealing that which is that of a psychopath. And this is characterizing the system that the people of the state of California, the government, the state of California, the public entity itself is practicing, okay? Stalking with light sources, stalking with any manner of light. And what I am focused on, what my documentation is revealing, what it is probative of, is literally the state placing an artificial light source in the sky that is supposed to be the sun, and it is not the sun. And that is what the documentation establishes. And let me be clear, this is in no way seeking to argue or trying to prove that that is not the sun. My focus is on showing how and why the state is stalking with a light source, because it is monitoring. It is a scientific fact and readily established where the actual sun is physically located and where you would see it, how it would appear. And not only that, the ordinary behavior of the sun, its migration, its constant movement, rising in the east, setting in the west. These are basic fundamental facts, but this is a scientific fact, and this is not anything whatsoever that is reasonably contended as being the sun. I am engaged in what is documentation showing how it is the public entity is stalking with this light source because it is monitoring in concert with the people of the state of California, serving that criminal system, serving for massive monitoring. Okay, so first off, the criminal elements of monitoring, there are three of them. When you are monitoring via communication devices, you are engaging in three criminal elements, and they are criminal because they are engaged in systematically for that purpose of monitoring an American citizen with communication devices. And the state of California, a public entity engaging in such a system, is relying on the outward guise, the superficial guise under which, the outward form. I have termed it as form. This is the superficial guise under which the people of the state of California, the government itself, is engaging in the criminal elements of monitoring. This is the creation of light. Any manner of light activity. The state engages in it in real time while I am creating my podcast, while the state is monitoring my documentation. It is creating light activity through the use of its emergency vehicles. That is criminal use of its emergency vehicles for the creation of light, as it is also engaging in the second criminal element of monitoring, which is activity. Activity is in more than one form. Audible activity, which is anything that you can hear, the state engaging in that criminal element in real time while it is monitoring my documentation by sounding its sirens, amplification of its sirens. And this is also that which you are witnessing in real time while the state is engaging in flying over me by airplane. That is the amplification of plane activity. That is something that you can hear, while also the plane is creating light activity. The aircraft is lit. It is moving in the sky. That is a method of light activity, while, mind you, the state is maintaining presence. That is stalking directly. That is via aircraft, and that is the state directly through use of its emergency vehicles as it is maintaining presence, which is stalking for the criminal purpose of monitoring. And so the first criminal element, again, is light, any form, any creation of light, referred to as light activity. The second element is activity itself, anything that you can hear, anything that you can see. So this is visible activity. And understand that the creation of light activity is also visible activity. Those are two elements combined when the state is engaging in stalking with light, when the state is engaged in any manner of creation of light. And the third aspect of activity, because activity is not only audible, activity may be visible, activity is also sensational. This is anything that you can feel. This is relating to touch. So this is created by something analogous to rumbling, vibration, shaking. The state engages in this by use of habitual use, routine use of the train, where the state is engaging in not only the creation of the literally what I have described as literally playing the tape of the sound of a train, because very often a train is not even in motion, a train is not even on the train tracks, while the state is creating this amplified audible activity, and also engaging in sensational activity where the ground is rumbling, okay? The ground is vibrating. The state engages in this activity in multiple ways, in addition with third parties as they drive their vehicles, for example, and the state engages in, this is concerted conduct as third parties use their vehicles. This is just one example. As a means of audible activity, the state amplifies that audible activity, and the state is also engaging in vibrating the ground, which is not occurring from a third party driving past, especially while I am at the distance that I am at. This is just an example of that which I've already documented. That's concerted conduct. This is the state acting directly and vicariously as they are monitoring as one group. So the second element of monitoring is activity. Audible activity, anything you can hear, visible activity, anything you can see, and sensational activity, anything that you can feel. Understand that a third-party group stalker, the state also acting directly, is also monitoring you through touch, just touching you. That is a form of monitoring. It's sensational. It's something that you can feel, and that is within the P.O.C. as well. The third criminal element for monitoring is relevant positioning. And understand relevant positioning is I am referring to that which is being in position relevant to the targeted individual. This is literally the group stalking conduct. The state is engaged in group stalking directly. The state is engaged in group stalking by police, fire, and ambulance, which they are engaging in, giving you a real-time example of stalking via aircraft, helicopter, police, fire, and ambulance. The state is engaged in stalking vicariously, maintaining relevant position all around the path of the targeted individual at all times. There is no time, there is no moment where there is any aspect around the targeted individual that is unmanned, if you will. This is perpetual presence around the targeted individual as a group. This is what group stalking is for the criminal purpose of monitoring with communication devices, while you are also maintaining light and while you are also maintaining the activity level, audible, visible, and or sensational. This is an ongoing combination of the elements of criminal monitoring. And this is via communication devices. And this is a criminal monitoring system that is engaged in through and by stalking. And that is stalking as a group. All right. And so this is why the state is stalking. The state is stalking as a group. The state is stalking directly and vicariously through the people of the state of California. And the state is stalking for the criminal purpose of monitoring via communication devices. And understand that this, contrary to what it is called, group stalking is actually a monitoring system. All right, monitoring specifically via communication devices. This is the significance of light. This is the significance of the activity, amplification of activity. This is how a public entity operates a criminal monitoring system. And this is what the state of California is engaged in. And this is on a ceaseless basis. It is unhindered at all times and at all places, including in transit, on any train. I've documented the pattern of conduct in operation on the Metrolink, okay, which is a means of interstate commerce in violation of 18 U.S.C. Section 42. On Omnitrans bus, which is a means of transit on the streets, on the freeways. All right, that's a means of interstate commerce. And on the bus itself, okay, a vehicle, mass transit vehicle, a means of interstate commerce, while subject to criminal monitoring, while the state is stalking via aircraft and helicopter, all means of interstate commerce. The state is also using internet, means of interstate commerce. All right, the state is engaged in this system, which is occurring at all times and at all places. And my honing in on the first criminal element, which is stalking with light. The criminal monitoring system is basically stalking with light. That's the first element. Stalking with activity, any method of activity. That's the second element. And stalking by entity. That is the third element. All right. And this is how the public entity engages in monitoring. And I am honing in on what it is the first element, that is stalking with light. And specifically the state that is engaged in stalking with light in the form of a literal fake sun, which is an oxymoron, but it is a very real criminal act by the state of California. That which is unheard of, that which is also speaking to and revealing highly demented criminal stalking conduct of that which would be characterized by any other psychopath, all right? And this is that which is shared amongst the group. Not only is the state stalking with a literal fake sun in the sky, and this is what the documentation establishes, but the state is also acting vicariously through the people of the state of California who engage in the identical behavioral pattern. This is that which is of a psychopath, which is shared amongst the group. All right. The law shall treat no government any different than any individual. And this is also relevant with regard to the assessment of that criminal activity and speaking to understanding the level of demented conduct that the group is engaged in together for a criminal purpose of monitoring with communication devices. This is what the state of California is engaged in. This is what the documentation establishes. And this is also demonic activity. All right. And so this is relative to speaking to exposing, rather, what is prevalent darkness in the state of California, and this is amongst a vast group. The group happens to be a public entity, the government. The group happens to be the very people of the state of California, all right? And this is criminal monitoring by a government acting through the people of the state of California. And so that is relevant for purposes of punishment, for purposes of that aspect of the federal prosecution. So with regard to honing in on the state's aspect of the criminal system, which is stalking with light, the state stalking with a light source in the sky, that's what it is. This is why it is stalking with this light source, which is not the sun. And today, January 21st, 2021, I pretty much am allowing the documentation to speak for itself. Understand in the background that is the psychopath that is monitoring, engaging in ongoing creation of audible activity, which is amplified, by the way. It is amplified as I am sitting on the same bench in between the Senior Center, the Ontario Ovitt Family Community Library, and the 280 Lemon Avenue Apartments. The state is amplifying the sound of a train, and this is a uniform method of stalking with activity and monitoring conduct, while, mind you, they maintain presence in the path. That is P.O.C. And that is also, speaking of the same psychopath, that is literally monitoring its own documentation of its criminal activity to be asserted against it in the federal court. So like I'm stating, with regard to the documentation today, January 21st, this is ongoing documentation of the state engaging in what is remaining with its light source, a fake sun, and also following with its light source. That is stalking. Remaining and following is stalking conduct, and the state is doing it with a light source while it is maintaining presence directly and vicariously for the criminal purpose of monitoring via communication devices. This is engagement in all three criminal elements: stalking with light, stalking with activity, and stalking by entity. And it is monitoring via communication devices, which is in violation of 18 U.S.C. Section 42A. The state's conduct is documented systematically. I have published in a more effective form to be more precise with regard to not just publishing the pictures onto Facebook and in the videos onto YouTube. I have put them all together on my Google Share Drive and provided the link. Anyone is capable of viewing it, and it is timestamped so that you can see, not only are you looking at on the day, just for example, just today, January 21st, you are looking at how the state is remaining over one address with this light source in direct conflict with the actual behavior of the true sun, which, by the way, is not physically over where I was this morning at 8:14 a.m., 8:15 a.m. when I captured the video of the state's light source directly over 435 South BONVIEW. That is Mercy House, third-party facilitating venue. And the state's light source remained over this same address for a series of hours. All right. The actual sun is in constant movement, and that is from east to west. Mind you, over the sun is a massive star, and it is engaged in constant movement and not remaining over one address for the entirety of the day. And this is remaining over the address. It is a low hovering light source remaining directly over the property within the gates, engaging in incremental migration, literally moving from side to side as I move within the gates of that property, also in conflict with the actual sun. That is not moving that rapidly, and that is not engaged in that sort of deviation from its position in the sky as you merely take 1 foot or a couple feet to the left or to the right, forward or backward. In addition to the fact of the state's light source remaining over one address and for a series of hours, whereas the sun is actually in constant movement, and if it actually was present over the property of 435 South BONVIEW in Ontario, California at 8:14 a.m., it certainly is not going to remain physically, in its totality, you're talking about in its zenith, all right, centered above where I am located at this address for a series of hours later at 12, 1 o'clock, 2 p.m. And this is what I'm documenting. In addition to the fact that is documentation of the light source remaining, right? And in addition to the fact that it is also, in that regard, it is impossible. In another regard, it is also impossible because, again, this is a scientific fact that this is not the sun that is physically visible in its zenith centered over 435 South BONVIEW. That is a scientific fact. That is not what I am establishing, but this is based on that scientific fact. This is not the sun. Secondly, it is not. It is also not possibly the sun because it is remaining over physically in its whole essence, centered over the property. Mind you, while all the other criminal elements are ongoing, the state's conduct is also prefacing that which is engagement in the criminal elements of monitoring. The state is stalking by plane and helicopter. The state is engaged in ongoing group stalking by the third parties who are engaging in the identical behavioral pattern, where also impossible light activity is on the surfaces inside of the venue and outside of the venue, which is not occurring from any location of a sun. All right, so this is also ongoing and coexisting with this remaining light source directly above 435 South BONVIEW, okay? In addition to the fact that it is remaining physically over the address, you have what is also a matter of cumulative evidence. This is that which I have already published for a prolonged period. I've been documenting the state of California engaged in federal group stalking and monitoring as a matter of being able to see it since 2018. These videos are posted, and the state engaging in stalking with its light source specifically also is revealed as it is in this same form centered directly over everywhere that I am located at all times of the day, which is also impossible. Okay, this is also that which is impossible just based on comparing 24 hours earlier. I am engaging in what is systematic documentation and publishing documentation of what is the state's engagement of placing its light source directly above me where I am at one location, remaining there, and you can directly compare that to what it's doing the next day or the day previous to that. Well, with regard to documenting a public entity that's engaged in federal group stalking and monitoring, the evidence is not isolated. You are not looking at anything in a vacuum. First of all of the facts are related. Okay, so you are looking at what is cumulative evidence of what is inevitably impossible and is in no way, not even similar to conduct of that of a sun, the true sun, which, by the way, is not physically over any of the locations where the state has engaged in placing its light source squarely above me at the venues where I am, remaining at those venues as long as I remain there, and then engaging in following me in whatever direction I go, whether that is north, south, east, or west, in conflict with, again, the natural behavior of the sun, coexisting with the behavioral pattern engaged in by the state that is stalking directly by planes, helicopters, fire, police, and ambulance, and vicariously through the people of the state of California engaging in an identical behavioral pattern that is designed to monitor an American citizen. Okay, these are all the facts that are related also relative to the states engaging in stalking with its light source. And so today, July 21st, 2021 is yet another day where, and I have pretty much allowed the documentation, the videos and the images, you can just compare them to 24 hours earlier. And that's exactly what I did, specifically and chiefly aiming at taking a picture at and take a good look at a map. It is absolutely impossible that the state in its fullness, in its zenith, is remaining over 435 South Bonview all day, all morning, all afternoon, and then also directly over me, if you are paying attention to my documentation, as it is more west, where I am more, as I travel to 435 South Bonview, that is not where I typically dwell. I dwell toward the west end of Holt Boulevard. And so what you'll notice is how the state engages in seeking to act as though it is, with its light source, moving in the latter part of the afternoon, especially as I begin taking video of what is its impossible conduct of remaining over the same property all day long from 8:14 a.m. Into the latter part of the afternoon, where it is remaining literally over the same exact address, which is nothing like the sun. Understand the state isn't in no way moving. What you're looking at on the documentation, it's not going anywhere. It is engaged in an abysmal fail of seeking to emulate the migration of the sun while it is also remaining at the same time. This is the stalker. This is the psychopath that is monitoring the documentation of its criminal activity. But let me give you context. The reason why the state is doing that is because it fully intends to continue stalking as I walk what is west back up Holt Boulevard. And that's exactly what the state did as well. This is nothing new that I documented today, January 21st. I have documented the state following with its light source directly above me as I walk from Holt Boulevard, east down that street, and east down Holt Boulevard and south onto South Bonview, south on Bonview to the same address, 435 South Bonview, where the state's fake sun remained directly over me, and I documented that the entire route. I remained at 435 South Bonview starting the day there, and the state's fake sun is directly over that venue, mind you, and this is the first thing that I point out. The state is captured, documented, engaging in placing its fake sun directly over the museum, the Ontario Museum of History and Arts, at 9 o'clock in the morning. It is not squarely, by the way, Okay, this is where you are getting into common sense. You are not squarely over the venue, as I captured over 150 East Holt, over the Ontario Museum of History and Arts, and also mutually over 435 South Bonview in its totality, as I am capturing it, and as I am facing what is south, standing at the property of 435 South Bonview, and as I am standing facing south in the parking lot of 150 East Holt, capturing the state's fake sun as it is aiming onto the property as I'm at 150 East Holt. And facing the museum, while, mind you, the state is flying, hovering over the museum, creating amplified audible activity while its light source is right there in front of me while I'm facing south. I'm also facing south at 45 South Bonview, where I'm capturing the video of the state's fake sun at the same property. Okay, so you are looking at what is cumulative evidence. There are many, many ways. This is not the sun whatsoever. And mind you, you're looking at the times, you're paying attention to the details, the direction that I'm facing, how the state is keeping its light source over one address for the entirety of the time that I stay there. And also, you're also looking at what is the state stalking with light and seeking and failing to emulate what is migration of the sun. In direct conflict of common sense. It remains there for hours, and then after remaining for hours, this is at 435 South Bonview today, then engages in incrementally acting as though it is moving to the west after remaining over the same property, literally within the gates from 8:14 till after 1:30 in the afternoon. Okay, this defies common sense. It is asininity. That is exactly how I describe it, because that is what it is. This is literally a psychopath stalker, stalking with light, because it has the criminal motive of monitoring, and it is doing so on a massive scale with the third parties at the venue of 435 South Bonview and all of those who are in relevant position in the businesses all around, in their residences all around, on Mission, on Bonview, on the traffic that is patrolling on Bonview. They're all monitoring. Driving on that side street of Washington, they're sitting in their cars, they're patrolling up and down that dead-end street. They're monitoring. The state engages in ongoing stalking, as I'm also documenting at that venue. The state is hovering and repeatedly using the train for amplification, vibration inside of that building at 435 South Bonview, while the state is keeping its light source over, while the state is hovering in aircraft repeatedly. Over 23 airplanes flying over that venue today while it is stalking with its light source. This is the pattern of conduct for federal group stalking and monitoring, and this is cumulative evidence. This is just another day of documenting that. This has already been published. I am honing in on this criminal element of stalking with light, understanding how the state is doing this. It is literally just remaining, which is stalking, and it is following where I go in impossible directions, in no way similar or analogous or in any way like what the actual true sun is, let alone the fact that the actual sun is not physically present over the address or any other address where I have documented the same exact pattern of conduct, okay? That is the pattern of conduct for monitoring with communication devices. That's what the state is doing, and it is doing it on a massive scale with the people of the state of California. Everywhere that I go, 435 South Bonview is just one example. It is just one third-party facilitating venue engaged in criminal monitoring an American citizen, engaging in the sexual violence inherent to that P.O.C. because the state is molesting with its light source. The state is molesting while it is aiming impossible light activity into that venue and all around that venue, and everyone engaged in that is the people of the state of California that are monitoring in concert and on behalf of that public entity. They're engaged in that sexual violence as well. They're monitoring. You are engaged in that same sexual violence as you are physically touching with light and engaging in those criminal elements of monitoring pursuant to that creation of light activity, that molestation of light. All right. And this is the analysis that is missing from federal legislation, but it is in direct violation of 18 U.S.C. Section 42A. Right. But this is documentation. This is what I am honing in on. And this is clearly seen in the images and the video that I published yet again today. And so this is just a forward, if you will. The evidence is speaking for itself. This is honing in on that which is unheard of. And understand the state is stalking in not only is the state a psychopath, the people of the state of California engaging in that same identical behavior pattern. So this is the psychopath that is operating amongst a vast group. It just happens to be the people of the state of California. It happens to be a government. And it shall be treated no different under the law. It shall be assessed. The behavior shall be assessed no differently. Okay? And that is unheard of, highly demented, twisted conduct, okay? And it's doing so because it's monitoring. And so the reason why I understand you're engaging in such incredible and unheard of methods is also a matter of the malicious system, a criminal method that the state employs, all right? Claiming that you are being followed by absolute strangers, which is the group stalking system. Claiming that police are stalking you, that airplanes and helicopters are following you everywhere, which is the pattern of conduct. And even the incredible occurrence of that which is supposed to be the sun, and it is not the sun, but remaining over you at all times of day, all right? This is the incredible method. This is that which is intentionally employed. It is a part of the malice of the system intended to criminally defame the target individual. Every single element is designed to not only monitor, it is also designed for purposes of criminal obstruction of justice. And this is to criminally defame that targeted individual who in any way seeks to report, expose, or otherwise prosecute the public entity for engaging in what is federal group stalking and monitoring. And understand that this is the false premise upon which the public entity, the state of California, based its entire system. Because all you have to do is document. Documentation rebuts all of that. This is hard evidence, direct evidence, insurmountable evidence of what is stalking by light, stalking by activity, and stalking by entity. And it is that which is in no way any reflection whatsoever on the targeted individual, contrary to what that public entity intended through its criminal methods. All right. This is also that of a psychopath. All right. And understand in the background, that's just a third party creating audible activity. They represent the same entity that is amplifying the planes, amplifying the sirens, and amplifying the train. That's a third party, the same entity that is also engaging in monitoring and also very hostile to being documented. Not only is he monitoring, he is intentionally engaging in the activity. This is the same psychopath. All right. They are one group. And this is the broadening up of the mind to understand what this group stalking concept is. And that's exactly what it is. Actually, the state is providing a real-time example of it. So anyway, with regard to the state's criminal methods, that which it employs, even that serves to inflict suffering to the targeted individual because they are so unheard of. Okay. And understand it is unheard of. And this is why you have to document. And this serves the purpose of documentation, specifically with regard to the state's engagement of stalking with light. Understand that this is not only documentation of criminal monitoring conduct, stalking with light, because you are monitoring and you're monitoring on a massive scale and you are monitoring ceaselessly. You are also engaged in what is inherently sexual violence against the target individual. You are a stalker. You are no ordinary stalker. You are the government. You are also the government that is acting through every single person that surrounds that target individual. And you are also touching. That is sexual violence that has never been addressed by federal legislation. That is sexual violence that is off the Richter scale, repeatedly touching, and this is necessary for them to engage in the pattern of conduct. This is routine, all right? So no stalker under any circumstances would be permitted to touch under the law, and that goes the same for the government, and it is touching with its instrument of criminal activity. All right. And it is touching on a massive scale while the state directly and vicariously is monitoring you. All right. And that is the pattern of conduct. Okay, and so this is that which is not only documentation of what is stalking with light, which is in an unheard of manner serving a purpose of criminal obstruction of justice to criminally defame the targeted individual, entirely malicious in every way. Even the methods employed serve a criminal purpose. And it is also that which is documentation and understanding, expounding upon, providing context to revealing what is the inherent sexual violence that is included with regard to a targeted individual and being monitored by a public entity in concert with the people of the state. All right. So it is January 21st, 2021. And again, this is a documentation of the state of California engaged in federal group stalking and monitoring. This is also otherwise referred to in the vernacular as gang stalking. All right. Contract stalking. State organized stalking. Understand it is stalking for the purpose of monitoring. It is actually contrary to its title. It is a criminal monitoring system. All right. And this is why the government is stalking you. It is stalking you in all manners, stalking you with light, stalking you with activity, and stalking by entity. That is the group stalking conduct for the purpose of monitoring, and that is via communication devices, in violation of existing federal law, 18 U.S.C. Section 42A, and that which shall be enforced, which shall be made federal law, federal legislation. It needs to be passed in order to address what I have systematically documented, every criminal tactic in this criminal and demonic system in operation practiced by the state of California, and that is I.I.S. federal legislation, systematic infliction of inhumane suffering. Again, this is Erica Lorraine Spencer, and that is the P.O.C. 5X51508, 6ZEL 629, and Omnitrans license 1545811. This is P.O.C. walking from the museum and to third-party facilitating venue 435 South Bonview. Omnitrans, Vidco Foods parked in the parking lot of B&G Plaza, hazard lights, and this is a means of providing light activity as they are engaged in federal group stalking and monitoring, which is the creation of light activity. That's what they're doing. But this is literally the people of the state of California, third parties that are group stalking as I am walking, and from that venue, the museum, to this venue, and they're engaging in stalking with light. Literally, 6ZEL 629 parked on transit at 6:20 in the morning, and as I cross the street, understand, while I am in direct alignment to her, she is already loitering in her car. Appears to be a white female, heavy set, a black top on, and black and white tights. She is sitting in her car. She starts her ignition at the moment that I arrive at the opposite side of the sidewalk as I'm crossing transit, walking from Euclid at the museum. So as you cross transit, at the moment I arrive at that opposite side of the sidewalk, in alignment to where she is parked, she starts her ignition. That's a creation of audible activity while I'm in alignment. That's deliberate activity creation and positioning. And she remains sitting in her car, focused on her communication device as well. I continue walking, and I walk along transit to B&G Plaza, and Vidco Foods is used as a means of stalking with light, hazard lights on that vehicle, while I am walking through the parking lot, and I proceed while that light activity is ongoing. I walk through the parking lot, and Omnitrans is a means of stalking with activity as well, amplification of their speaker, while they stop at their bus stop at Plum and Holt Boulevard, which is right before the corner of Sultana. And as they stop their light activity, as they are loitering in relevant position, creating amplified audible activity. This is concerted conduct with the state, amplification. And I do reference the security cameras on that bus with that license plate 1545811. And as I am walking on the sidewalk, which is north on Holt Boulevard, Omnitrans does pull off. This is followed by, I continue to walk, and the state is aiming light, and this is early in the morning, mind you, so the state is aiming. There's more than one light on me, because even at this early hour, when the quote-unquote sun is not up yet, and I'm walking what is presumably street lamps, I still have multiple shadows, okay? This is the creation of ongoing light activity. The state is stalking with light in this manner. And understand this is the ongoing P.O.C. as I am walking, and third-party group stalkers engaged in monitoring, driving down the street, all right? Intentional presence, intentional crossing path, intentional activity creation while the state is creating this light activity, stalking with light. And the license plate that I read, 5X51, however I recited it was correct. This is a stalker, just one of the many on South Bonview. This is just another example of the stalking conduct and the deliberate presence of all third parties. And as I am walking south on Bonview Avenue, you have this third party that engages in immediate departure from driving south on Bonview with the rest of the traffic the moment that I gesture that I'm going to walk to the opposite side of the street. So he drives into the dead end street. There is no street there. He literally just drives into the dead end across the street and parks his white pickup truck. Looks to be a Latino male that appeared to have a black hoodie on, and he's driving a black and white pickup truck with that license plate that starts with the 5 that I read. That is just another example of what is group stalking. It is entirely deliberate presence. These third parties are not driving past. This is what third parties do as a group. It is demented stalking conduct. It is group conduct where they are literally maintaining presence. So you have what is not ongoing heavy traffic. It is P.O.C. Understand this. And the hallmarks remain present while they are engaged in what is appearing to be merely driving past. And I'm speaking to that which is the ongoing engagement in the criminal elements of monitoring in concert and on behalf of the state that is, by the way, always engaged in stalking and aiming light. The state using the train as a means of amplification, audible activity, as I am not only walking down the street, but remaining at 435 South BONVIEW. And again, that's the train that is along Emporia. That is ongoing audible activity while these third-party group stalkers are patrolling on BONVIEW. That's P.O.C. It is, again, July 21st, Thursday, 2021. It's 7 a.m.